guys, your Rage Out Legends. Welcome to the video. Hopefully it finds you all doing well out there, sending some love and some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them. I had a great little weekend. I'm getting the holiday spirit, guys. I took my kiddo and my family to a little like Christmas theme park, so that was fun. And then I realized that I really still need to do Christmas shopping, and that was not fun, that realization.
Abusive, stingy, self-centered.
I always put it off. I suck. I'm envious of you guys out there who can get ahead of the holiday shopping in advance, right? Anyway, today I want to talk about Chimera Clan Boss. It's still early on here, right? So at first, the first week or so of Chimera, I hesitated on putting out a list of top champions. I did give a bunch of recommendations though. I had nub raids on. We talked about what type of champions you want to focus on. And then I had a video recently focusing on 4 of my favorite epic champions: Runekeeper Dazdurk, Mausoleum Mage, Skathix, and Sanguinia. In case you missed that one and want to check that out, go ahead and do so. Today, I'm just going to give you flat out the data, right? So don't expect a ton of epics, although there are a few free-to-play friendly champions like freebies and whatnot on this list. Probably the MVP of all Chimera Clan Boss is a free-ish champion as well, which is really cool. Any guesses on that? Any guesses? But I'm going to give you the raw data, right? So I want a big shout out to the team builder on Hell Hades Artifact Optimizer. Of course, I am using that heavily just to look at what teams are doing the best, what champions literally are scoring the most damage overall in Chimera. I'm using that data and aggregating the in-game data as well, top teams in the game. So I'm just going to give you the flat out which 30 champions appeared most on all of the best teams. Okay, so that's what you're gonna get today. Let's just jump right into it, right? We're not gonna spend a ton of time because I have a mammoth. I'm so sorry, Osama, my lovely editor. I love you so much, bro. But I have a mammoth like top 100 champions in the game video coming out soon in a day or two, and that's going to be like a 2-hour plus video. So we'll save the long videos for later on in the week. For now, let's just bust through it here. So let's start with one of the OGs, but she's incredible, obviously, in Chimera. She's incredible everywhere. It's Duchess, right? Duchess is being used on a lot of teams out there. She has 3 essential buffs: block debuffs, increase attack, and perfect veil. She has damage mitigation. You know her kit. She has AoE revive. Revive is so important against Chimera Clan Boss. Your damage dealer is going to take all that reflex damage back, so having an AoE reviver, ideally single targets work too. There'll be a bunch of single targets on the list. I even saw Scylla Drakes on one top team, so shout out to my girl.
Don't shout at me.
She didn't make the list because she wasn't replicated enough, but single target reviver healers are really nice. But Duchess, having the AoE revive with the veil, really good champion. Obviously you can use her as a speed or a lead as well. Duchess being used a lot inside the game. Now next on the list, guy, appears in so many top teams. I'm so damn jealous of any of you guys out there who have him. And I will point out, just like Duchess, Legate, Teox, this dude is a beast, but they're both Spirit Affinity. Just another reminder for you guys, this is based on the data that we have so far, and Spirit Affinity is strong. That being said, there are plenty of beast Magic Affinity champions on this list today, but Legate is going to be on the list no matter what, I would assume. A lot of top players are using this guy, mainly for that extra damage you can get. 20% more damage for each debuff on the enemy, stacks up to 100% on 3 faction allies on that A3 ability. Damage dealing extraordinaire. This guy's an absolute monster, a very popular DPS. Now, my personal favorite DPS so far, I'm not going to say he's the best in the game, just on my account, my go-to has been Turvold. This guy's an old school legendary in the game who still can contend with even the mythicals in terms of damage. The crazy thing about Turvold is he doesn't ignore any enemy defense. He doesn't have anything like that, right? He just got the Juggernaut. He just has the Juggernaut ability, right? And this guy hits like a truck on his A1 and his A3. He self-buffs on his A2. You just want to make sure that you have a team of buffers and buff extenders on the team with Turvold. That way he always keeps those buffs up to maximize the damage of that Juggernaut, ideally in the protection set. But Turvold, I think, is an unsung damage dealer right now. Maybe not the best in the entire game, we'll get to that in a moment, but certainly up there, and he's my go-to. I love me some Turvold. One of the most used champions inside the game in terms of debuffers and buffers and support, little bit of everything, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, is Lydia. But I want to say Lydia might have been the #1 champion. I mean, a lot of people have her too, so it makes sense. But a lot of these are top players, right? So Lydia's just amazing. I mean, having the decrease, we talked about this ability ad nauseum here on the channel. how busted it is. Really in the running for one of the strongest abilities in all of Raid Shadow Legends. It truly is. Having the increased speed, the strengthen and the weaken and the decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown is insane. And then you get 3 kind of hard to get debuffs, especially if you're going after trials. Don't stress trials, by the way. I mean, obviously it's helping your clan out and stuff like that, but I would advise you guys, just stress the damage at first, right? Try to get the basics, your cleansers, your revivers, your enemy max HP champions, and then worry about the rest of the stuff. Anyway, I digress. She has poison sensitivity, block buffs, and block active skills on that 3-turn cooldown. So really, really useful to have all of those and the fear on the A1. So Lydia really checks off a lot of those proverbial boxes. So she's being used a ton in all the top teams of Hydra Clan Boss. Next up, we have probably, maybe not the most used enemy max HP champion, but people who have her obviously using a lot of Ahrisia. She has an enemy max HP ability on every single skill. Yeah, I mean, she's a freaking beast, right? A beast damage dealer, one of the top ones in the game. There's not much more to say about it. She does have damage mitigation, obviously, as well, from AoE attacks on the passive, so fairly easy to keep alive for, you know, what otherwise would be a squishy champion, but it's really all about the enemy max HP. Speaking of enemy max HP, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, hey, guess what? Another PvE area in Raid where Newt is an absolute god, right? So
I'm so tired of being good.
Yeah, Newt is amazing yet again. My man has the AoE, decrease attack. He has the weaken and the counter attack, which is really, really nice on that A2 ability. But of course, the Blessed Bash ability. Again, have a reviver because a lot of damage coming back his way, but the enemy max HP times 3 can deal an insane amount of damage. Just love Newt. What more is there to say about this champion? There are a few mythicals on the list here, guys, and one who is, I think it might be the most used, no, maybe the second most used, but man, Arbias, to the surprise of nobody, she has so much utility inside her kit. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the mythicals.
He didn't say that.
But she does have the increased attack, the increased accuracy, the turn meter fill, that juicy 30% turn meter fill is so freaking good. She brings a revive on death. She brings a remove buff from enemies. She increases the duration of our buffs. This is just her base form. She has a block active skills on her A1 ability. So she's bringing a lot of kind of niche, hard to find buffs and debuffs, continuous heal on the A1, a leech and a burn on the A2, and a continuous heal, a taunt and a stone skin on that A3 ability. Arbai is being used on a lot of top teams. Number 6 on the list is going to be Siphi, the Lost Bride. I mean, it's Siphi. Of course she's going to be on the list, right? She got the block debuffs, the increased defense, and the increased speed. All really, really good. She has a turn meter fill on there as well, the 10%, but really, really solid. She has that great revive with a full turn meter as well. She's tanky. She heals on the passive, which is super important. These healing passives, again, we mentioned the Drakes earlier. Siphi, let's just talk about Elva, right? It's a good segue here after Siphi. Elva is being used on a ton of teams, one of the top champions overall, the first Sylvan Watcher legendary to be added to the game. She also has that heal passive, heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn, and a perfect veil for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP at the start of this champion's turn. What a nasty, nasty, wasty skunk. Sorry, mean one, Mr. Grinch? No. Nasty little passive there. She's gonna continuous heal on the A1, but it's this A2. I mean, she's got the revive 3-turn cooldown. Hell yeah. But this A2, oof, one of the strongest cleanses in the game, right? It's a full cleanse with the block debuffs and the increased speed. To get the revive, to get all that healing, to get the passive healing, to get the perfect veil, the cleanse, the block debuffs, and the increased speed with a speed in all battles aura. Yeah, no wonder she's one of the most used cleansers out there in the game. Now, I don't have this guy, but boy, I wish I did. I want to give a shout out to my man, DeGreer. He's pulling out some insane damage. Take a look at his team here. He sent me this on Discord. Oh, look at Feral. Feral just like, a Krisk would be a good sub in here. But I mean, yeah, nice. I mean, obviously, go ahead and replicate this team with the 3 mythicals, but look at that insane damage. This dude is a soothsayer when it comes to clan boss strategy. And that's the team that he's rocking right now. So shout out to DeGreer. Yeah, Feral, surprise, surprise, is going to be on this team, or a top champion on this clan boss, excuse me, as well. He's just, they broke the mold when they made this dude. If an ally's under 4 4 more buffs, increase their damage dealt by 20%. That's insane. You also have the Perfect Veil and the increased resistance. Not only that, but you have the decreased accuracy and the block buffs, man. On a 3-turn cooldown, he's bringing, again, somewhat niche debuffs and buffs and the extra damage. Feral is in a lot of top teams. Speaking of a lot of top teams, you know who's really making a name for him? This is the best part about having new content in the game, guys, is it gives opportunities to champions that weren't, or maybe fell out of the meta. It's tough to say Thar fell out of the meta because he's always been a beast, especially in Hydra, but in order to stun set in like Cintranos. But now this dude, this little bug was made for Chimera, right? He's on a lot of the top teams as well. He has a decreased attack on the AoE on the A1. He's got a decreased speed. He's got a leech as well. He's got the increased speed. He's got the turn meter fill and the extra turn. Moreover, the Rune of Haste. So the Rune of Haste with that turn meter fill, you're going to see these turn meter fills. We talked about this before. I hate to repeat it every video, but turn meter fill is so much more valuable in Chimera versus any other area of the game, because Chimera, especially compared to Hydra, Chimera is not limited by the amount of turns that you take, only the amount of turns that the Chimera Clan Boss takes. Thus, we want turn meter fill to get more turns in there. We're not going to be limited. We're not going to hit the cap like we do in Hydra. So these big turn meter fillers by 30% with the extra turn, with the increased speed, is so insanely valuable to your team. But my man brings decreased speed, leech, and a decreased attack on top of that. And the Rune of Haste fills the champion's turn meter by 5% every time a debuff on an enemy is removed, transferred, or expires. That with the extra turn allows him to get back to more debuffs and more buffs and more turn meter fill. He's being used a lot right now. All right, it's going to be good old Lady Mikage. I mentioned that there was another mythical that was used maybe a little bit more than Arbias. It's going to be Lady Mikage. Lady Mikage is just insane. She's the best thing that Raid has done in terms of the permanent fusion. Any of you guys, how many guys have Lady Mikage out there? She's so good, but it does frustrate me. I've said this before, not to pander, but it does frustrate me that she's so seemingly accessible being a permanent fusion, but it's just like, it's so hard to get the 2 legendaries, right? Like, there almost ought to be some sort of a mechanism to get the legendaries as well. Thus, then you can put them all together. I don't know, like an Arbiter mission, like, you know how they have the tabs for Ramen II and Arbiter and Marius? Maybe tabs for Krila and Tatsu or something like that, you know?
Meeting is adjourned. Oh, I am sorry, sir. I didn't mean to overstep my bounds. You say that.
What?
Meeting is adjourned.
It is?
No, you say that.
I don't know, I digress. Ally joining in the attack from the Shadowkin faction, the ally attack with increased attack and increased crit damage, the best ally attack in the game. And then Silken Snare does everything you want in 1 3-turn cooldown in terms of buff and debuff manipulation. You gotta love it. On the other form, she's got the increased accuracy, excuse me, and the weaken if you need it with the buff removal. So Mikage's in a ton of teams. She's super fast, super tanky. You love Mikage. All right, coming up next is going to be one of the top cleansers out there. There's actually got a lot of cleansers on this list. Obviously, cleansers are one of the essentials for every Chimera Clan Boss team. And Rio Bonespear, finally, my girl, is getting the love that she deserves. Definitely going to appear on our top 100 champions video that I teased to you guys that is coming later in the week. She's absolutely insane. She's one of the best Chimera Clan Boss champions in the game. Congratulations if you have her. She's super hard to get. She's a Void Legendary after all. But man, with this cleanse and the heal and the block debuffs, all on a 3-turn cooldown. She also has a continuous heal on the A1, but look at all these freaking debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Not that it really matters, but like bringing all those debuffs, I mean, she is she's a little cheat code. I hate using this stupid clickbait term, but she really is, right? She ticks off a lot of the trials. She's just so freaking good. The cleanse and the heal and the block debuffs. Oh man, she's nasty. This guy, he was kind of right on the cusp of, he was in a few top teams, but then like not a lot of the mid teams. It's hard to get, again, another Void Legendary. I apologize. It's actually going to be a couple in a row here, so apologies in advance, but Graz Iron Gut, man. I mean, this guy's great. He has the increased resistance and the increased defense. He's got shields for your team as well. He's got some heals on that passive. He's got some heals on the A2 on himself. He's increasing the duration, but he also has the enemy max HP ability there, and we already talked about how valuable that is. Enemy max HP champions are just insane, right? Obviously, against Chimera, that's what you want to lean into for your damage dealers if you're in doubt. So go for, you know, your husks of the world. If you don't have like a Graz or an Ahrisia or a Newt or whatever, some other will be appearing on the list as well here. So I don't want to name them all, but Graz Iron Gut has a really diverse kit and that enemy max HP ability on top of it all. All right, next up on the list is going to be Cardiio. Cardio's just he's always been one of the goats in the game, and that remains the same for Chimera Clan Boss, right? Speed in all battles, fantastic little heal to have. He's got that beautiful cleanse with the block debuffs, with the revive on death that's protected, man. That's a very, very nice ability here. It's nice everywhere, but it's specifically nice against Chimera, where all of these are super valuable to have on your team. Keep your nukers alive vis-a-vis the revive on death. Can't be stolen anyway. Can't be removed, I should say. Also go in there with that nice ally attack on the A3. His kit is perfect for a lot of areas. I don't want to say he's like meant for Chimera. Cardiio's like meant for just supporting and ally attacking everywhere in the game, right? All right, let's get to the best champion, arguably. And I am on the last, I'm waiting for my last Iron Twins right now, guys, to get my hands finally on Marius. I slacked so bad, and I feel so ashamed of myself. I'm just not going to lie to you guys. I feel ashamed. I mean, here I am covering raid, and I don't freaking have Marius the Gallant yet. It's embarrassing. But he's the best damage dealer, I think, for all of Chimera Clan Boss. He is arguably the best champion. You've seen the busted teams. If you haven't, there's all these reset cooldown teams, these Emix, Lady of Iris, just basically taking advantage and pumping more damage out of Marius the Gallant, going in there with a triple hitter enemy max HP ability. What makes him so good is the extra turn as well, right? Increased accuracy, increased defense is insane. It's great on all allies, but that extra turn allows him to get back to that A2 even faster than 3 turns sometimes, and that allows them to be, again, the best damage dealer out there in the entire game for Chimera Clan Boss. All right, I lost track of the numbers, but let's go back to Shadowkin, talk about 2 of the better damage dealers for Chimera Clan Boss. Ninja, he's the boss killer, so of course he's on the freaking list. He's got that A2. Hailburn still does a great amount of damage. He has that escalation to get more damage as the longer the battle goes, and obviously this is a long battle, provided that you can keep alive. So very, very nice fighting bosses. You get that quick escalation as well when you're fighting against bosses, which is really, really nice on that passive. He also has the Scion Slash, which reduces the cooldown of that Hailburn, allowing you to get back to it even faster. He also brings a decreased defense on his A1 ability. And hey, Toshiro the Bloody, I mean, this guy, a mythical, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on him. But yeah, he's built different. One of the best damage dealers just everywhere except for the arena in the game. On his base form, you keep him base form the entire time. You don't want to switch off because, again, he has that damage escalation vis-a-vis the Sanguine darts on his A2 ability. So you want to make sure you maintain that and you don't switch in between. He also is a debuffer and brings leech. Nasty to have one of the best damage dealers also bring 2 great debuffs on the decreased defense and that leech ability. Pair with Mikage, he's going to go in because he's Shadowkin. Same thing with Ninja on his A1. Every time she does her A1 plus the ally attack, it's a nasty lethal combination. All right, coming up next is going to be Senna. I just pulled Senna maybe 2 shard opening videos ago, and oh my god, the time was beautiful because she is busted. I love her. A great AoE reviver. She also has, so the AoE revive on a 4-turn cooldown, fantastic. She has an ally attack built into the revive. Sign me up. Then she has increased speed and continuous heal ×2 and a turn meter fill. Ooh, now we're talking. That is a nasty, nasty ability there. She also has an instant activation of continuous heals. She has continuous heals, filling turn meter on that passive. She's definitely one of the better Chimera Clan Boss champions, Hydra Clan Boss champions out there in the game. Really, really good. Heals, revive, and little ally, I mean, geez, and some essential buffs and turn meter fill on that A2 as well. Talk about a dude who came out of absolute nowhere to just be one of the top guys out there in the game, and it's none other than SnickTrak when we talk about Chimera. It's so cool. We were saying this early with Nekmo Thar. Honestly, SnickTrak is going to be a better example of a champion who just catapulted in terms of value in this game. SnickTrak is in a ton of top teams right now. He's got the decreased attack. If they're under a leech, he's got the decreased attack at 100% on the A1 ability. He's got a decreased speed on his A2. He's got a shield on the A3. He's got an ally protection in that reflect damage. Ooh, that makes him a trial monster as well. Whenever an ally under the reflect damage is attacked, plays a leech on the attacker, reflects 50% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker, and increases the amount of damage reflected by 20% from his reflex. Man, really, really great kit. Just great synergy. Everything about it, again, was kind of made for Chimera. I love to see champions like this that were really unsung. I always liked SnickTrak. We haven't talked about him a ton here on the channel because I actually pulled him somewhat recently. But man, I am so excited. I haven't used him yet, but I'm actually sitting on my keys right now, probably waiting for the last day. I'm going to be using SnickTrak on one of my teams, excuse me, because he is really, really good. Mighty Ukko is still on the list. Again, we talked about the AoE revive, how important it is. Really, really cool passive. So annoying on this guy when you're going against it, stealing buffs, really cool. But of course, the AoE ×2, the removal of buffs and the block buffs and that decreased accuracy. Moreover, the decreased attack on the A1. You can also use him as a spot increased speed if it doesn't revive anybody on that A1 ability. One of the more used, popular choices, excuse me, of revivers out there, or used, sure, one of the most used revivers. Estr. I've mentioned this before here on the channel, guys, but Estr Dreamsong is a champion that I just didn't use enough. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I went for the fusion, obviously. I got her, and then for whatever reason, I tried her out. I did a guide on her, and I was like, okay, I like her. But now she's a main staple of my Hydra Clan Boss teams, and she's becoming a staple of many, many Chimera teams out there as well. She brings the increased speed, the increased attack with basically 100% uptime because of that extra turn. Those extra turns are so powerful. She has an AoE decrease speed and a weaken on the A2. She has turn meter fill on that A3. Just one of the best buffers / debuffers in the game. Really, really good. Super fast, 115 base speed as well. Revivers. One of the most used revivers, to the surprise of absolutely nobody right now in the game, is going to be good old Pythion. Pythion has one of the strongest revive cleanse packages out there in the game. The AoE revive with the strengthen on a 4-turn cooldown, very, very good. And then the damage mitigation off that passive, super handy. And then the cleanse with the heal and the block debuffs. Ooh, it's the trifecta, right? The cleanse and the heal and the block debuffs all on 1 3-turn cooldown is money. Really, really good ability. A lot of people are getting heavy usage out of Pythion. All right, guys, let's do an epic. The #1 epic damage dealer out there seems to be Royal Guard from the limited data that I'm working with here, right? Royal Guard is great. He has a decreased speed on his A3, he has a decreased defense on his A1, and he has the enemy max HP on the takedown on the A2. Just a little bit more bringing to the table versus a Husk, but Husk is being used a lot as well. So Royal Guard would be my top choice, depending on affinity, of course, for an epic damage dealer out there in the game. We talked about this champion a lot recently because he just got a buff in perfect time for the Chimera Clan Boss, his operating clan father. This guy is a beast now for Chimera. He has the turn meter fill on the A1. He's got the great heal on the A2. Heals 30% on allies under the continuous heals, right? He's got the block buffs. He's got the heal reduction removal. He's got 2 continuous heals. He's got block debuffs, and he's got the cleanse. Ooh, it's a great clan mentor. They really did a great job at buffing this A3 ability. I have an updated guide on Operating Clan Father and Gamaran, a tandem guide video after their buffs here on this channel. And then I have individual guides on my Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guide channel on both of these champions, updated after their buffs. But what brings it all together is this paternal passive, right? Every time a continuous heal buff heals an ally, fills that ally's turn meter by 10%. Ooh, that is juicy, juicy turn meter fill. We already talked about how valuable that is. There's no cooldown. That just happens every time a continuous heal ticks on an ally. They get that nice 10% turn meter fill. Ooh, he's very, very good support champion. I do like to run him with a reviver though on the team. You know, like I don't want him to be my only support champion, but him and a reviver can lock down your support and your heals and your cleanses and everything else on your team. Speaking of cleanses, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, similar to Lydia, Mithrala Life Bane, right? She brings the Hex, she brings the increased defense, the increased attack, she brings the poison, she brings the cleanse, she brings the shield, she brings the strengthen. Whew, I think I covered it all there, right? Man, she just has so much in her kit, so much support. Everything that you need in one champion in so many regards in this game. And again, she becomes a quintessential champion, not only, but basically every clan boss, right, in the game. By the way, I want to take a second apropos of absolutely nothing. And, well, I mentioned clan boss, I guess. I want to welcome back Deadwood Jedi. Did you guys see he's back to uploading? I'm thrilled to see him back. He's such a beacon in the community, honestly, for knowledge, for positive attitude, and I just want to welcome him back and let you guys know that he is back to uploading, give his first initial thoughts on Chimera Clan Boss as well, so you might want to check out that video. I'll link it for you guys in the show notes below. All right, next up, guys, is going to be Krisk the Ageless. Of course, it's Krisk. This turtle makes his O-penis known everywhere in the game, right?
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
And of course, that's going to also pertain to Chimera Clan Boss with the decreased speed, with the ally protect, with the buff duration increase. He's bringing in increased speed on top of all of that, brings increased defense on himself, and he can debuff with his passive. That passive is so nasty, right? It's weird because I don't think about him as a decreased attack, decreased defense champion that much anymore because I'm so used to running him so heavily in Hydra where you just can't depend on him being the only, you know, debuffer on your team. But against Chimera, I mean, he's getting attacked all the time, right? So he's always going to be placing those debuffs. It's really, really nice to have and already a great complement to an already amazing kit. So Krisk is on a lot of top teams to the surprise of absolutely nobody. All right, let's talk about, the Owl. I've loved the Owl for a long time now, but now she's really next level beast mode. She brings just so much in her kit. First off, the A1 is the same as Vizier Ovelis's A1. Has a 50% chance on a triple hitter, every hit, to extend the duration of not one, not two, not three, but all debuffs on the target. Whew, that's nasty. An AoE decreased speed and a leech and a decreased accuracy on enemies under 2 or more debuffs. That's 3 amazing debuffs. Great for trials indeed on a 3-turn cooldown. Also makes her insane if you can get your hands on a 9-piece feral set. 3 debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Hell yeah. She also has another 3-turn cooldown with an increased accuracy, a block debuffs steal, okay, and if a block debuff was stolen from an enemy, okay, well, there you go.
What's your point, sir?
She has an increased accuracy. Bird of Prey kind of brings it all together and makes her even more lethal. This champion's damage increases by, or crit damage increases by 1% for every 10 points of accuracy and grants an extra turn after this champion uses any 3 skills. That means more debuff extension, more great debuffs on the A3, and keeping that increased accuracy on your team as well as more damage. She can deal a little bit of damage, well, a lot of damage as well. 15-20 base attack, and her multipliers are pretty decent, right? She's not like the top nuker out there, but she can be a great debuffer slash damage dealer slash debuff extender for your team. All right, next up is going to be kind of a newbie, right? When's the next event dungeon coming out? Because Freya Fate Weaver is a beast. She's being used on a lot of top teams right now. Really cool to see. She has great base stats. She's very fast as well. She's an AoE on that A1 with that provoke we know about. Increased defense on everybody with a nice juicy shield based on her defense on the A2, but she has the A3 Gold Weave is what's really making her, again, for obvious reasons, one of the top used champions on a lot of top teams. A full cleanse with the block debuffs with a turn meter boost in addition. That's really, really good for all the reasons we've already spoken about. Very good ability on that A3 ability. Increases a champion's defense by 5% each time an ally inflicts a critical hit. So you get an easy 50% defense boost, which also powers up her shield on her A2 ability. Prevents her death as well. Instant turn. She's got defense in all battles. She's got a really, really nice kit. Very hard to get champion, but very, very good. All right, mythical time. Of course, Galathir. Of course, he's going to make the list. Starsage Galathir has a cleanse and the heal and the block debuffs and the AoE revive, right? And the turn meter fill on the A1. Very, very good support champion. We know him to be a beast in the arena, basically anywhere, right? But man, he's bringing a lot to the table. On his alternate form, he does bring an increased accuracy and a decreased resistance as well as a block active skill. So you could also switch between on Starsage Galathir. If you have Starsage, odds are you know he's a beast and you're probably using him. Guys, I really can't count. I think I'm probably going to give you like 32 champions on this list, but who's counting, right? Let me give you a bonus 33rd. Deacon Armstrong was on a couple top teams, a couple. Not a lot, but you can understand why, and I want to give him an honorable mention shout out here. He has that leech on the A1, which is great for healing, great for having a leech on your team. A decreased defense with that 100% uptime, with that turn meter fill, right? All the things that we've talked about, he brings them with that extra turn, putting it all together. Do not sleep on Deacon Armstrong as a great, epic option who's really, really good, right? All right, let's talk about Tawanarok. Tawanarok is just like she is in Hydra. She's great because of that passive. You can use Doom Priest for an epic shout out as well. She has heal and a cleanse on her passive. She also brings an increased attack on their A2 ability. Tawanarok has 1 debuff or 2 if they're under continuous heals. Cleanse from your allies at the beginning of every turn. She brings an increased speed, an increased defense. She brings a decreased attack, a block buffs as well. She has a debuff spread, not necessary obviously against Chimera, but she also brings a decreased speed on her A1 at a 50% land rate. Really, really solid continuous heal as well on this champion and the ally with lowest HP. So she heals, she debuffs, she brings essential buffs, she cleanses. Very, very good champion. One of my favorite supports out there in the game. Last mythical on the list here, and one of our last 3 champions to talk about in this video is Androck the Glorious. Ooh, Androck. Ooh, you're a nasty son of a jackal. I love this guy. I love the way he looks. He's my favorite mythical in the game. I don't think he's the best, but he's just my fave. He brings potentially 4 buffs on a 3-turn cooldown on his A3 ability. Increase resistance, strengthen, continuous heal, and another continuous heal if they have less than 50% HP. He has a buff extension here on his A2 ability. You can switch forms as well for a decreased resistance and a weaken on his A2. He also has block buffs and a buff removal on his A3. The best part though, on his base form, Knights of the Wild, this passive, critical hits inflicted by allies fills the turn meter of all allies by 5%. Occurs once per skill. Ooh, that's a lot of turn meter fill. It's one of the best little sneaky passives out there in the game, and it makes him an absolute behemoth in terms of Hydra 2. Yeah, sure, why not? But also Chimera turn meter fill. All right, 2 left, guys. One that's really hard to get, and one that's a little bit easier to get for everybody. Let's talk about Tronblade Master. Yeah, I mean, we speculated early on before Chimera was even released that this guy's going to be one of the best champions out there in the game. Very, very hard to get an exclusive vent champion, but he has increased the duration of 2 random buffs on each individual ally on his A1. Nice little sneaky A1 there. He has an increased defense and a shield that's protected, and then he has a block debuffs and a cleanse. Block debuffs protected against bosses. Having that protected block debuffs means you don't have to put him in a 9-piece protection or any protection. Save it for other champions. And he has a fills his turn meter by 5% every time a debuff is placed on him, which is nice, as well as a heal. All right, last on the list, guys, is gonna be Mr. Ramen II Drake's Blood. That's right, guys. Ramen II, just like Marius, is absolutely on this list. He has so much. Again, look at that A2. Kind of for the same reason that we mentioned Rio Bone Spear, right? The decreased defense, the weaken, the decreased speed, the block buffs, and the true fear, all on that A2 ability, all on a 3-turn cooldown. He also has that AoE with the block active and block passive, but man, oh man, oh man, he is skyrocketed back into the meta. You can put him in Feral. He's actually really good in the arena now as well because of the 6-piece Feral. Whenever an enemy tries to CC him, he's instantly filling this champion's turn meter. You guys are probably familiar with Ramen II's kit, but hey, there you go, guys. Those are the top 30 champions so far in Chimera Clan Boss. Now, I want to say at the end of the video here that there was a lot of kind of borderline champions that could have made the list. It probably could have been a top 50 or 60 because these are not the only good champions for Chimera Clan Boss. These are just the ones that I saw repeated most on the top damage teams of the top 3 difficulties, okay? So take that into consideration. I'm not saying that if the champion that you love is not on this list that they're not good. This is not scientific, but it is rather anecdotal, but still from the data that I have available to me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching all the way till the end, and as always, take care, guys.